Hello and welcome to a special fantasy episode of the Franchise Tag podcast. We're not really early, I don't think, for talking fantasy because there's a lot of dynasty stuff going on at the minute. I know a lot of people are talking free agency, they're talking the upcoming college draft, but we are doing a dynasty draft today with me and Adam, as always. We're going to go through our picks, what we'd pick, have a little chat about it, I believe, and then see what we come out with.
Yeah, I think it's going to be quite an exciting one because we've never done this before as the franchise tags. It's the first time it's done it. I've played a bit of Dynasty over the years. I don't know. Have you played much in the way? I don't think you have you?
No, I do a joint Dynasty League with Freddie that's part of the 5 Yard Rush League. And I've done a best ball league. But yeah, I haven't dabbed too much in that. I'm usually redraft every year. We usually do that around the summertime. So yeah, that's
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. You are going to see Andrew pop his Dynasty mock draft cherry just live for you right now. So it should be entertaining. We will see what happens. It's something that we have spoken about doing a bit more, this sort of mock drafting stuff for the fantasy league, especially over the off season, as there's not really like loads of other stuff when it comes to fantasy to do. So yeah, I think it's something we're going to do a bit more of. There's going to be like a rookie only draft once the draft has happened. This is just the normal Dynasty one, but we'll be doing Superflex, tight end premium, all the different types that we can do. So yeah, it should be fun. And like I say, we get to see Andrew do his first Dynasty one, so that should be a laugh. And yeah, hopefully we'll come up with some good teams. You can tell us what we've done shockingly wrong. I'm sure you will, as most people normally do. And if we can, what we'll do is we'll put the teams out, and you can tell us which one's the best one and stuff like that. So yeah.
Well, you are currently the reigning champ of the actual fantasy league that we do for the show. So
I am. And are you going to tell the viewers where you came in that particular league? Where
I came last. Yeah.
First, the commissioner of the league, bless him, came.
I win it all the time. People will claim there's collusion, so I've got to finish last once just to make it a fair playing field. Right, should we get it underway?
Go for it.
Okay. I do, yes.
Probably helps if I turn the sound off of the other one, wouldn't it? But
Adam, you're first up at pick number 5.
Yeah, so we've had, rather unsurprisingly, Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey, Nick Chubb, and Jonathan Taylor all go. Everyone's gone running back. I'm a little surprised because when it comes to Dynasty, I've always been very much a, you should go for your running backs early. But with Dynasty, it is a little bit different because obviously you do kind of have all of these wide receivers who are, really good young wide receivers who are going to be with you for much longer than what the running backs are going to be. So with that in mind, and the fact that he's still on the board at the 5th pick, I think Justin Jefferson is the way forward. So yeah, I'm going to go for him, and it's something that, like I say, when I first started playing Dynasty, I always kind of did the same as what a lot of people do with redraft, which is go for running backs. But in reality, I think Jefferson could be around for years, so go get yourself a good wide receiver.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of wide receivers in the league, and I'm a firm believer that there's not many great running backs. So it is. I think it's really important, regardless of whether it's a Dynasty League or a redraft, that you get a solid running back that's going to be a running back that you see the team as invested in. So the likes of like Derrick Henry and like Najee Harris, I think are perfect ones that the franchise is going to move forward with. A little bit surprised that McCaffrey and Cook going so early, being players that were on about being traded, and McCaffrey with his injury worries. But that being said, I feel like I need to lock in a running back early. And looking at the names that are still left, I personally like what the Chargers have done. And they use Austin Eckler in both the run and the catching. So I'm going to pick up him. He's still young. They're going to use him. That's my pick.
Yeah, I think it's a really good pick. I mean, it surprises me that, Jonathan Taylor's gone full. That is surprising, because you sort of feel like if anyone is the guy when it comes to dynasty, and someone who's, they're definitely locked in on when it comes to, the Colts, that you just sort of feel like he would be an obvious choice at number one. But yeah, I mean, Eckler's a great running back. He's going to be around for a while yet. We've had DeAndre Swift go, Devontae Adams, Kamara, and then Cooper Kupp and Stephon Diggs on the turn. Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, and Cam Akers has gone at the 2-4. And now Mr. Manning is up for his second pick.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the running backs that are left, I mean, ideally here, I'd probably try and pick up another one if there was someone that I really liked that was left there. Unfortunately, I'm looking down the list and feeling like they're all of a similar caliber, and I could probably wait, fingers crossed, another round to pick up another one of those good running backs to complement one that I've already got. So I think I'm going to go wide receiver here. Again, looking at guys that are young, guys that are often used quite a lot. I think Deebo Samuel is probably a great choice. Again, he's used in the throwing, he's used in running. He is probably their team now. I think that they've got some nice pieces, and we've seen last year how much he was utilized, and he's still only a kid. So
yeah, Deebo Samuel. I'm a little, I think because he's just so well utilized, isn't he, for the 49ers, you can tell why he makes more sense to take rather than Metcalf or Lamb who went in the next two picks. I mean, it does make sense. And now for me, as you were saying, it's like I say, normally I will go running back first, but I kind of felt like Jefferson was the way forward at that point. You start looking at the running backs now and you start going, oh dear. Like the main guys have gone. But there are still some good running backs out there. I'm going to go for someone who, it's a little bit of a reach, I think, for him, but he's a very, very good running back. We saw it last year. For Denver, and I think Javonte Williams is going to become the main guy there very quickly. It's been a bit of a strange one with Melvin Gordon. He's been in free agency, but no one's really picked him up. I think someone probably will at some stage, but he might end up staying there. But whatever happens, I think, especially with Russell Wilson there, I think it's going to be all firing on that offense. And so I'm going to go for Williams. And I think that he's probably the best guy, or certainly the best running back at the moment. After him, we've got Tyreek Hill, AJ Brown, Saquon Barkley. We have a Giants fan with us, Mr. Manning. Saquon Barkley at the 2-11, is that a little bit early given the injury problem?
I mean, 2 years ago, I picked him with the first pick of the draft when I was had the first pick, and that went very badly for me. He was out for the whole season. And then last season, again, we saw him picking up injuries. We don't know whether he's going to stay fit. We don't know what the plan is with. I've heard that the Giants might start using him a bit more as a wide receiver, just try and keep him a bit more healthy. A bit of an odd one. I'm not really sure whether I'd reach for him. I mean, as a Giants fan, I'd love him on my team, but I think if I know it's only a computer team, but Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, you could have two running backs injured straight away. I think it's a bit of a reach for him, despite the fact if he does live up to the potential, that's a great pick. But I think it's a bit of a reach.
Yeah. After that, J.K. Dobbins, the forgotten man, a little bit, given the injury of last year. He's a very, very good pickup at the end of the second. And on the turn, he's gone for Aaron Jones. The team one's got Dalvin Cook, J.K. Dobbins, and Aaron Jones. So very heavy on the running back. First quarterback to go was Patrick Mahomes at 3.2 there. A little bit early, I feel, for a quarterback for me. But at the same time, if you're going to get Mahomes, you're going to have to take him at that point. And then Antonio Gibson, 3.3. And Deontay Johnson, 3-4. Had him last year, was really, really happy. Had him in loads of leagues last year. But without Big Ben, we don't really know what's going to happen there. So that's a bit of a dodgy one. I look at personally, I wouldn't go tight end, although especially in Dynasty, you could go for Kelsey if you wanted a big guy in the first couple of years. But I wouldn't go for him here. I wouldn't go quarterback. It's too early. You look at the running backs, there's not a great deal there, to be honest. I mean, there's a few that look all right, but I think I might wait purely because on the wide receiver bit, Jalen Waddle's there, and everyone is kind of being very, Tyreek Hill's gone there. All Tua is going to do is throw the ball to him. Jalen Waddle is going to be open so much for that team because Tyreek Hill is there, and so for that, I think he's definitely the guy to go for.
Yeah, he's already built a relationship with Tua, and you saw with the amount of receptions that Waddle had, he trusts him and he's going to go to him. So I think Tyreek will be there more for the big plays and that, but Waddle will definitely be there for check downs, just moving the sticks, getting those little yardage. So I think that's a great pick. Looking at where I am in the draft at this back end and knowing once I turn the corner, have my next pick, it's going to be a little while. I'm a little bit different with a dynasty league of how early you should take a quarterback. I feel like in a normal redraft, you'd leave it because it doesn't matter whether you get one of those veteran old guys towards the end because you only need them for one season to have one great season. I think with this, when you're keeping them and you're keeping them for a long time, if you miss out on Mahomes, Allen, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, like one of those youngsters, I think later down the line in the future, maybe 1-2 years later, there's not going to be the guys to pick from, and you're going to have to go via the draft and take a risk. So to keep my team strong and knowing that I've got another pick very early on when we go around the bend, I'm going to go quarterback here just to lock him down. And I think Josh Allen for me is the guy. He's in the run game. We've seen how good a passer he is. He's the future of that team. That team's going to be great for the next sort of 5 years plus maybe. So I think he's going to be the main guy there. So I think it's perfect for a dynasty league to go for like the Mahomes and Josh Allen. I think they're real key in this.
Yeah, I think that if you want to take one early, then it makes sense to go for it at that point. I mean, Allen, as you said, he's massive, isn't he, in the run game for Buffalo? They've struggled with running backs, and so Allen's kind of taken over. We're starting to see a lot of tight ends going. So we've had Mark Andrews and George Kittle go just before Josh Allen. Kyle Pitts has gone afterwards. Travis Kelce went on the turn. And also Waller went at the 4-3. So a lot of them have started to go. Kyler Murray's also gone at 4.2. It's funny because Murray was actually, he's predicted to go before Allen, yet it feels like with everything that's going on at Arizona, I'm not quite sure why you would want to take Murray over Allen. I think he'll definitely be there. But it just kind of feels a little bit of a risk in a team it just doesn't feel particularly happy for everyone at Arizona at the moment. So it does sort of feel a little bit of a strange one. But at 4.2, I can understand why you would take him at that. So it leaves you with you've got Eckler, Samuel, and Allen. So you've got one in each position. Where do we go now?
I just had a quick look at what running backs are left, just to keep an eye on them, because I don't want to miss out and be scrambling later on in rounds. And I haven't got another pick for a little while, despite the fact there's a lot of tight ends coming off the board. I feel like now's the time for me to maybe capitalize on one of these, because the list isn't very strong once you start scrolling down. Although James Conner's still on there. And we know he's going to be the lead back now at Arizona. They've got Benjamin, who looked quite good when he filled in. Don't know how many years he's not that old, but I don't know how many years he's got. How many is he down on this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I reckon I could risk it actually, and he'll be there still on the next go around. So let's see what we've got on the wide receivers. Still a load of big names here. Keenan Allen, DeAndre Hopkins, 2 real big names there. T. Higgins still there. Mike Evans, still plenty of big names going forward. I think I need, again, it's very, I've already got Austin Eckler. I don't want to tie myself up maybe with going with Keenan Allen. They've got Mike Williams, obviously, who take a lot of the points as well. I need a number 1 receiver. I think. There's still a load of great names on there. You know what? I'm going to stick with what I believe, and I think Michael Pittman is going to be great for the future of this team. I know we've got a Colts fan in our chat with George, and he doesn't overly rate him, but I think he's the wide receiver 1 of this team. And I feel that this team is good and is going to be good for the next few years. So I'm going to take the risk on him. He's very young.
I mean, it's quite a reach. I'll give you that for Michael Pittman. Unfortunately, the guy that I was eyeing up was T. Higgins, who has gone on the next pick. And then Calvin Ridley at 4.7, bit of a surprise there. I don't quite know why.
That's going to be a tough start.
Yeah, a bit of an odd one that has happened there. So I think maybe the computer's gone a bit funny on that one. But yeah, unfortunately, T. Higgins went. Michael Pittman, it's an interesting one. I think he showed, didn't he, with Carson Wentz, that he's a decent player. He can be that wide receiver 1 there. And when you think about it, all the main guys have either moved or they're staying at their teams now. Unless the Colts are going to go out and bring in plenty of wide receivers, and they haven't got a first round pick, have they, this year? No. So I think it would be a little bit surprising if Pittman wasn't heavily used. The fact that you've now got Matt Ryan there as well is not the worst thing in the world. If anything, it can only improve for Pittman with him there. So yeah, I think it's definitely a good shout. Just looking, I've got Justin Jefferson, Javonte Williams, and Jalen Waddle. You look at the running backs. There's still some decent names there, but there's actually some that are a little bit further down the line that I quite like the look of as well. At wide receiver, there's plenty of names. There always is plenty of names at this point. So I was looking at tight end, but I don't really like Hawkinson. It's a bit of a difficult one. There's not really a lot to go for, and I don't normally do this, but I do feel like, given a lot of the quarterbacks have already gone, that it's worth taking a bit of a punt on someone. And I think the one team that's always been pretty good on the offense, they've struggled on defense, but they're looking a bit better, is the Chargers. And I think to get Justin Herbert is there's going to be some shootouts in that AFC West. So it's a bit of a reach for him, but I'm going to go for Herbert and secure my quarterback. After that, Devonta Smith went. Then David Montgomery and Miles Sanders gone. DeAndre Hopkins how do you feel about DeAndre Hopkins going at the back of the fourth? A bit of, given his age and injury history as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's still a top quality receiver. There's no doubt about that. And with the names that have left Arizona recently, he's going to have to play a bit more of a role. We don't know whether AJ Green's re-signed, and he's not gone anywhere yet, has he?
No.
So, he's probably going to go back to that number one receiver role, and they're going to rely on him a lot more this year. So it's probably good for another. I think he's probably good for another 2-3 years. So it's not a bad pick, but he is on the trending down, which is why he's gone so late. I mean, he'd usually be one of the top names off the board, usually, wouldn't he? So I think that's about the right spot for him.
Yeah, I think he's definitely on the way down now. Travis Etienne has gone. That's a good pick. That's another one who's being forgotten a little bit, like J.K. Dobbins. But Etienne has been pushed down to the beginning of the fifth, so quite a big difference. Josh Jacobs, Dak's gone, and then T.J. Hockenson at 5.4. I'm back at 5.5. None of the wide receivers have really gone apart from Smith and Hopkins since I've been on there, but I desperately need to get myself another running back. We all know that the New York Jets are normally pretty dire, but they have improved that O-line over free agency, and I think Michael Carter is going to be the main guy, and so I'm going to go for him.
Yeah, I mean, I liked him at college, and I did pick him as a bit of a gamble in fantasy last year, and he got off to a very slow start, so I had to make room on my team. So he left.
I believe you dropped him, didn't you?
I put him onto the waivers, and you picked him up, and
I did pick him up. Yeah,
I think that's a bit of a reach for him. To be fair, I think we don't know if he's going to be the starter every week, what he's going to produce in like you say, a very poor team.
I will admit it is a bit of a reach, but I do feel like he's the kind of guy who we saw last year how good he can be. And like I say, I think they've improved the O-line there a little bit. And because of that, I think it means that they're going to have, he's only going to improve next year compared to what he did. He was a very solid running back. I'm not quite sure where he finished. I think he was around like 25, something like that for the season out of all the running backs. He's not going to be the guy who goes out and absolutely gets you like 20 odd points from a running back, but he will be a solid running back. And I think we were saying about the rookies coming out of the draft this year, how when it comes to running back, they're not necessarily that great. But I do feel that so the guys that were rookies last year, I think they're going to take a leap forward, like as what normally happens. And so players like Javonte Williams and Michael Carter are the ones to get who are basically looking like they're going to be better than the rookies this year, so they're worth going for. So we had Keenan Allen and Mike Evans go next, and we have got you back at the 5.8.
Yeah, I think there's still some tight ends on there I like while I'm scrolling down. So I'm not going to jump the gun, I don't think, just yet with how far down some of them are. I definitely need to get a running back. It's a tough decision here. I think AJ Dillon is definitely going to take over at Green Bay. We saw what he did last year. I thought as the year went on, he slowly became almost the RB1 there. But with Aaron Jones still there, it's a bit of a tough decision. It's dynasty. He's going to be good for the future, right? He's young. He's good. We know the quality. It would be a good pick, but he's going to share carries for my first year. Yeah, I'm going to risk it. I think he's good for the future. And that's what this is all about, investments for the future.
Yeah, I think Dillon has shown that he's the big-bodied running back as well at Green Bay. And we saw with Aaron Jones, I wouldn't say he's fragile, but he has picked up a couple of injuries here and there. And Dillon is the guy who's going to sort of like bundle that ball over the line and get it done. I think he's definitely going to be the future there. I mean, you know, you've got LaFleur coming from, he was with Tennessee when, you know, Derrick Henry was there, and that was the way that they played. And I feel like he does want to play a little bit more of the run game compared to what Green Bay has done in the past. So yeah, I think that he's definitely the guy to go for probably this season, let alone the future. And you can probably get a good few years out of him. So Amari Cooper went next in Cleveland, but you know, him is pretty good considering he's got well, if Deshaun Watson plays, it's going to be pretty good. If he doesn't play, it won't be. Edwards-Helaire, Ayuk, Jalen Hurts going at 5'12", Allen Robinson, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Bit of a shame that he went that early. He's definitely one that's is creeping up the boards, I think. Everyone we do. Lamar Jackson, and then Michael Thomas at the 6'4". Are you a bit surprised by Michael Thomas that high?
I don't think that's high. I don't think that's overly too high for him.
I suppose the thing is he didn't play at all last year. He's with a team now. You know, last time he played was with Drew Brees, wasn't it? So you know, he hasn't played with any of the guys that are there. He's getting on now. It kind of feels for a dynasty league a bit of a risk to go for him.
I think it's a similar shout to what we're saying about DeAndre Hopkins. We know Jameis Winston can throw the ball deep. We know he can get multiple touchdowns in the year. You know, his turnovers are what causes him the issue, and that doesn't really matter for Thomas. You know, you're not going to lose points for that. So I think it's a good pick. He's already got some quality young receivers there. Got McLaurin, who think, you know, he's one of the best youngsters at the moment. But looking at what other youngsters are still on there, it's a big pick. I'm going to go wide receiver again, just because then I've shored it up and I don't need to worry about it then. I know I'm okay at running back with the two guys I've got. There's still some names I like a little bit lower down. I think I can still get them. And for me, it'd be between Jerry Jeudy and Chase Claypool. And it's only between those two because I really like Claypool. I think he's big play Clay. But Jerry Jeudy now, Russell Wilson's there. It's just, we know how good Jerry Jeudy is. We know how good he was at college. And now he's got a quality quarterback throwing him the ball. I know the receiving core that they've got there is stacked, but I think this guy is the guy that's going to be going forward. I think Cortland Sutton, although he's great vertically and really, really talented, he's had his injury woes, and he's going to be there as the veteran supporting Jerry Jeudy going forward. So I'm going to lock in another great youngster at wide receiver.
I know you just quickly mentioned it, but does it concern you the amount of people that are there for Russell Wilson to feed? I mean, you've got Cortland Sutton there. Tim Patrick has shown that he's a solid receiver. At the moment, you've got Javonte Williams in the passing game and Melvin Gordon there. You know, you've got Albert O there as well for a tight end who I think is going to come on. It is a lot of people, and it just feels like we've had this before, haven't we, with different teams. It's like, especially with I think last year with the Cowboys, when it was like Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup. You know, there were so many mouths to feed that in a way it almost starts to bring everyone's value down a little bit for fantasy.
I mean, we didn't see that at the Rams, though, did we? They had three fantastic wide receivers. And if you had OBJ at the back end of last year, you were scoring as many as Cooper Kupp in some of those games, despite the fact the ball always goes to Cooper Kupp. So I don't think that's the case. And like I said, I think Cortland Sutton is slowly on his way out. I don't think they're going to pay him again. I think he hasn't stayed fit for the last 2 years. They had a lot of hopes on him being their wide receiver one. And I think Jerry Jeudy is going to be the guy for them going forward. That's my main thinking. I might have cashed in on someone that's going to be good in the future.
Yeah. Right. So looking at my team, I've got pretty equal 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs. I feel like I need another running back because it is starting to get a little bit bare now at the running back situation. Not many starters left, but there is one starter for a team who loves to run the ball and has been running the ball for years. We're going to go for Damien Harris of the Patriots. I think he's going to be the number one guy again. And yeah, I can't see Belichick changing his mind when it comes to how he wants to play. So I think that he's a good one to go for. We had James Robinson, Chase Claypool, Tony Pollard, and then Juju Smith-Schuster to finish out round 6. Trevor Lawrence has gone at 7-1. Marquise Brown, Kareem Hunt, and then Russell Wilson at the 7-4. I suppose, as you were saying, with all them weapons, and this is where maybe I was a little bit hasty on the quarterback situation, and I know we were saying about dynasty, and obviously Justin Herbert's a lot younger, but maybe getting someone like Russell Wilson for a good 5-6 years in Denver is no bad thing, and yet you're getting it in round 7. So maybe pushing it back's not the worst thing in the world.
I'd definitely be happy if I got Russell Wilson at that point. I think he's going to be good for the next 5 years. Very surprised at how low Joe Burrow's gone with some of the names that have come off the board, especially with the season that he had last year. And they've short the line now.
Yeah. I mean, in the middle of the 6th round, there's. I think this is something that, this is kind of almost like a basic tip. Just because you don't get Mahomes or Josh Allen in that 3rd round, you can wait, and there are still really good players around. And I suppose another thing, when it comes to dynasty, don't be afraid to take a slightly older player sometimes. It's like, Russell Wilson, as we just said. I mean, I think, was it a 5-year contract, 6-year contract he signed? I mean, I'm not saying he's going to go all the way through, but he's going to go for quite a long time. So you sort of think to yourself, you've got someone there who will be there for a long time, so why not keep him? I'm back on the clock looking at the running backs. It's getting a bit. It's not great. And looking at wide receiver, there's still quite a few wide receivers further down the line that I quite like to look at. I haven't got a tight end yet, but there are a couple that I quite like that are still available and still around. I think I'm going to go for running back. This is what I mean. It's going to be. It is a bit of a where it's quite the reach. I think I'm partly doing it just to annoy you because I know that you want him. But when you actually look at it, I can't go for Myles Gaskin. I had him last year. He did my head in all year. I cannot go back there. This is a massive reach, but I'm going to go for James Conner. He's the guy in Arizona now, and he's got the 3-year deal. He's got the bag, and I can't help but think that he's going to be there for quite a long time. It now means that I've got 4 running backs now. Javonte Williams, Michael Carter, Damien Harris, and James Conner. They're all starters, and I feel like that's great. I've got the 2 stud wide receivers in Jefferson and Waddle, and Justin Herbert at quarterback. So I'm quite happy with that. And then I'll start looking at my wide receivers later on. Adam Thielen and Robert Woods, a couple of the older guys went afterwards. And now, Andrew, you are back on the clock.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just ruined my game plan there. I think James Conner I was going to go for. I thought it would complement my team really nice. He's going to be a starter next year, which is great. And he's always used in that red zone area, always. And he was great last year. I had him last year. I took a gamble on him and it paid off. So I'm a bit annoyed that you've swooped in there and stole him because I do still need another running back.
You can always have Myles Gaskin.
I mean, no. I don't even know whether Myles Gaskin's going to be a starter. They've got Chase Edmonds there now. So, will he be the starter? Looking down the names, they're now all backups coming down the list now.
I think it says a lot about running backs. It really does. People do go for them early. I know a lot of this is obviously being computer generalized sort of thing and stuff like that. But they do go early. You do have to get them reasonably early. But at the same time, I've just shown round 5, round 6, round 7, there's 3 starting running backs there. So you don't have to go in the first couple of rounds for them. Having said that, by the time you reach this round 7, if you haven't got a decent amount, you're struggling. And, I can't help but notice that you've only got 2, but I have 4. So,
I mean, I was going to take James Conner. That's what we're saying. I mean, I'm looking at Chris Carson on there. I know he's a great back. Struggled with fitness. He's still only 27. He's still young. I think it's a massive gamble with the fact that they don't have a quarterback and their defense is got lots of holes in it, and their O-line's got a lot of holes in it. I think I'd probably take a gamble at this point on one of the Buffalo running backs stepping up. I know they've struggled. I know I've got Josh Allen. I think that kind of shores up some of my points if he doesn't run it in. That maybe it's going to go to one of these guys. It's an area of their game they've all said they need to step up. It'd be Singletary. I think that they're going to go forward with I thought he was in the back end of the season into the playoffs. He was the guy that stepped up, and I think he'll be the guy to be RB1 there. I've got 2 guys that may. I mean, I think I've dropped the ball on running backs. AJ Dillon's going to share carries. I really needed another guy that's the every down back, but there just isn't that guy available at the rounds now. So I'm going to take a gamble on Singletary. Maybe one of the rookies coming in, or someone else will stand out, and I might be able to steal them at a later point. It's not dire for me. He's going to be a backup.
Well, Myles Gaskin went next, so you've missed out on him, unfortunately. Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant, Rashad Bateman, and then Chris Carson at the beginning of the 8th has gone. Kenny Golladay, your man there. Maybe he might catch a touchdown this year. You never know. Ronald Jones at the 8-3 and Aaron Rodgers at the 8-4. That's a bit, I get it, obviously, but without Devontae Adams and bearing in mind his age, it's a bit of an interesting pick to go for. I think there are a lot of other quarterbacks that I feel that I would probably go for in fantasy before him now. And it's back to you.
Yeah, I'm looking at the tight end spot now. The numbers are starting to dwindle a little bit, and I've got a little while to wait before I get another pick. So for me, it's between Gesicki and Tonyan. I think Mike Gesicki's going to be. He's always good. He's always consistent. We see a lot out of him. Robert Tonyan's going to be one of the main targets now at Green Bay. The only reason he didn't do fantastic last year was because of his injuries. Do we know a date? Is he's going to be fit for next year? Isn't he? There's no doubts about that.
Yeah, he's definitely meant to be back for next year. I think he's not fully fit at the moment, but they reckon he's going to be there for practice and for OTAs and stuff like that. So yeah, he should be good for the season. It's just going to be a matter of getting him match fit and stuff like that. But, yeah.
I mean, I think he's going to see a lot of targets, and I think he's got a good relationship with Rodgers at the moment. So I'm gonna go in there. It's at a spot where I think that if it doesn't play out for me later down the line, or next year or the year after, there's going to be guys coming through from college at the tight end level that will be able to come in and replace him. We saw Pat Freiermuth, who's just a little bit further down, who I thought really slotted in well at the Steelers and had a really good season. So there's always chance at the tight end position that someone's going to come through like Kyle Pitts as well. So I'm going to take Tonyan as a bit of a gamble here.
Yeah, so Trey Lance and Chase Edmonds went next. Now, I've been looking at wide receiver, but I haven't got a tight end either. And what I've noticed is that the 4 teams next to pick twice only one of them's got a tight end, so I do wonder if one of them might go for one. There are wide receivers that I like. Unfortunately, I think I could miss out on one because I'm going to go tight end. He was great for me last year. I'm not going to change it now. I think he's going to get loads and loads of reps at the Eagles. There's going to be, I mean, they've got Devontae Smith and him, and the rest aren't much else. I know it's predominantly a run game there. I think Dallas Goedert is going to be very heavily targeted by Jalen Hurts. The only other one I do like the look of in that is Gesicki. But considering I've already got Waddle, I didn't really want to go for two Miami players. So after that, Darnell Mooney, Irv Smith Jr., another one forgotten, been out injured a long time. My prize for winning the franchise tag league was a signed Irv Smith jersey, what every single Green Bay fan has ever wanted. Thank you for that, boys and girls. DJ Chark and Mike Williams finishing off round 8, quite low, I would have thought.
Yeah, I think he has the potential to be the wide receiver one. I think they have Keenan Allen, but I think it's between the two of them of which one's going to end the best this year. I don't think there's a standout. Yeah, it's Keenan Allen like it has been in the past. So yeah, it's that's a steal at that point, I think.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of the guys that I was looking at. Was Mike Williams. Then anyway, Gesicki went at the beginning of the 9th. Elijah Moore, Tyler Lockett, massive drop for Tyler Lockett, but obviously without Russell Wilson. And then Tyler Boyd at the 9-4. Right, I desperately need wide receivers. There was one guy who when you were going on about how much you needed a running back, and I was like, there is one guy out there. But kind of need him. So looking at them, there's Laviska Shenault. You'd expect him to take a bit of a step up, really, considering that DJ Chark's not there. Hopefully Trevor Lawrence would get a bit better, so he's one to look at. Brandon Cooks, he's at Houston at the moment. I don't know. Odell's going to be injured for quite a bit of it. There's not a large amount there, but Cordell Patterson is there, and he's still designated as a wide receiver and a running back. So I'm going to go for Cordell Patterson in a pretty poor team, but yeah. I can't help but feel that everything's going to go through it.
Do you think he's going to have the same ability to do what he's done with Marcus Mariota as the quarterback to what he had with Matt Ryan, who probably used him in a little bit more in the checkdowns, which was very big for him last year? He wasn't overly explosive and dynamic as just a running back. It was those plays that he was catching the ball. And I was worried when I was looking at him whether he's going to get that with Mariota. I feel that they're going to have to. They're going to have to use him because there isn't anyone else. I mean, it literally is Kyle Pitts and that's it. So, I mean, obviously you expect them to go into the draft and bring in some receiving weapons. You have to. But as we've, pretty much always said with a lot of them, you can't just expect these guys to suddenly pick up the playbook and be 100% in the first year. I think because of that, I just can't help but feel that Patterson is going to see a lot of the work, and the fact that you can put him in as a wide receiver, then yeah, I mean, why not? He's a really good selection that's versatile for both positions. Laviska Shenault went afterwards, and then the first kicker, Justin Tucker, in the 9th round, a little bit early, I think, but yeah. It's back to you. Kicker's got to be about your last pick. Laviska Shenault Jr., there's talks of him potentially still being traded. I think Kansas City were interested in him, and I know before all of that will happen, there was talks of him potentially being on the market, available for a trade, but I think he's a great receiver. And I think he's got to stay at Jacksonville in the rebuild that they're doing there. I mean, I'd want to be part of that if I was him. So wide receivers though are now starting to look like the backups. It's there's not a lot there. You're really taking a risk now, I think, with some of the names on the list. And scrolling down, it really is a big gamble. I don't even think this. I mean, Henry Ruggs is still on there. What's all that about?
I wouldn't suggest going for Henry Ruggs.
No,
there are a few guys still around, but it like you say, it is starting to get a bit thin now.
I think the addition of Devontae Adams in Oakland, not at the Raiders. It's gonna open up third and Renfro a bit more. I think he's kind of a bit of a forgotten player, but he does lots for them, and I feel like he's going to be a little bit more open. He's not going to see it maybe as much of the ball, and the ball is going to be going towards Adams. But I think he's going to be my safe gamble. Looking at the names that are around him, Michael Gallup could be a great bet there. I think Brandon Cooks. I couldn't take the risk on him being at Houston. If he gets traded, then I'd probably take a gamble on him. OBJ, can't trust him with his injury proneness. Not sure whether he's going to retire soon. Hunter Renfro is still young. I think that plays upside for him. And Derek Carr is a very capable quarterback that's throwing the ball, and they're doing some nice pieces. So I'm going to take Hunter Renfro.
Yeah, I think he's, I know Freddie, our main host of the franchise tag, is a massive fan of Renfro. He had him last year in his redraft league. My only concern with Renfro is that he was very good when Darren Waller was out. And I think if everyone's fit at the beginning of the season, you've got Devontae Adams, you've got Darren Waller there. You do wonder whether that means that Renfro kind of becomes the third guy out of that team. But at the same time, he's shown what he can do. He's a quality receiver, and at the middle of the ninth round, you're kind of looking for guys that are probably going to be on your bench now, to be honest. So you're not looking for starters anymore. So it's like you're just looking for people who can make that have that big week every now and then. So I think Renfro is definitely a good shout. Beckham went next. I think, again, if he can get fit, then he's a good shout, but I don't think he'll be there at the beginning of the season. Darrell Henderson, Brandon Cooks, Justin Fields going at the back of the ninth. Dawson Knox is a great tight end to pick up at the beginning of the 10th round. Pat Freiermuth, I liked him. I liked him last year. I thought he was really good. Don't know what he's going to be like without Big Ben. Pittsburgh, it's all a bit of an unknown. And then Zach Moss and Stevenson for New England going at 10-4, and it's back to you at the 10-5.
Yeah, I'm looking at another running back. I think I'm pretty weak in that area, so I may as well try and take another gamble on someone. And I'm looking at guys that are in a bit of a 50-50 battle that are still young, that if they do get traded in the future, could be the future RB1 somewhere else. Just kind of like thought process for this league. I'm scrolling down, I'm seeing a lot of San Francisco 49ers names. Is that just because no one knows who the starter is there and you just can't gamble?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So, I think we think that Melvin Gordon is older than what he is. He's only 28. I think that's still fairly young. I think he's still got a few years left in him. He's not. I think he's still going to be listed as the RB1 at the Broncos, and I think you're right with Javonte Williams taking over. But I think that leaves the path for Gordon. If he doesn't, he's going to be in there if anything happens. But potentially in the future, this guy could be an RB1 at another team and do great things. So I'm going to take a risk on him. There's another guy a bit further down, another forgotten player, Gus Edwards. He could potentially be the starter because J.K. Dobbins is not a big guy. Gus Edwards, Gus Bus, he's a big guy. He's going to take those big, like, downfield runs. He's another guy still young that I'm tempted on, but injuries have kind of hit him a little bit. So I'm going to take the gamble on Gordon at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's a decent shout, isn't it? I mean, even if he's not at Denver by the end of free agency and he's at another team, he's going to see, reps somewhere. He's a good running back and has been for years. He's just not the guy that I think he thought he was coming out of the Chargers demanding all the money. He's just not that guy, but it's like he's still a good player to have for your team. Gabe Davis went next, and Tua goes at 10-7 with me back on the clock. Now, I feel like I still need to go for wide receivers. I can't believe this guy is still there, to be honest. I thought one of you someone would have picked him up. I know he's not the number one guy for Dallas, but he's definitely the number two. He's shown that he can be really good, and with Amari Cooper now gone, there's a hell of a lot of targets left for someone. So I'm going to go for Michael Gallup. I'm not really that worried about the injury. I think he'll probably come off of it and he'll be fine. So yeah, I'm going to go for him. Deshaun Watson, Rondale Moore, Elijah Mitchell, Hunter Henry, Matthew Stafford at the beginning of the 11th. There's a guy, a quarterback, if you want to wait a long time, who's got a few more years in an explosive offense. So, you don't have to take him early, like I said. Christian Kirk, Rashad Penny, Julio Jones going at 11-4. Would you take Julio Jones in your team at all?
We don't really know where he's going to end up yet. I think if he goes to the Colts, then maybe he might get another couple of good years out of him back with Matt Ryan. It hasn't really worked in Tennessee for him. I think he could still work for him there. Until we know what's going on with him, it's very hard to pick him at the moment because he did drop off quite a bit last year.
Yeah. Looking at what's available, I think, like I said, I've got 4 running backs, so I don't really need to do anything at running back. I think that's, to be honest, probably more than enough, especially with Patterson, who can play there as well. And when you look at what's there as well, I mean, it is starting to just become either really old guys or just people you don't want. So I don't think I'll bother going there. I've got my quarterback and tight end, so I'm going to stick with wide receiver for now. I quite liked Kadarius Toney last year. I thought he did all right for the Giants. He wasn't too bad. It's someone who you kind of feel like might be worth a punt, but that's definitely one that I think could be worth a go. But the one that I am going to go for, who has just moved teams, he's just moved to Tampa, and Russell Gage looked decent for Atlanta last year with Matt Ryan, and Tom Brady improves everyone. It doesn't matter how bad you are, he improves everyone. And I know that it's that Evans and Godwin are there, but I do think that he's got a good chance of getting on the field, and he's not a bad guy to have on your bench. So a couple of running backs, Kenyon Drake, Trey Sermon went next, and then over to you for your 11th round pick.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go wide receiver as well. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you nearly picked him. I think Kadarius Toney would be the guy fantasy-wise that I'd go for from the Giants. I think he's a bit of a Swiss Army knife. I think you can use him in so many different combinations of players. I'm not saying he's Deebo Samuel or Tyreek Hill, but, Curtis Samuel, players like that you can use them in so many different sort of formations and plays, and you can get involved in the running game. And when he did sort of get used to the system and it was fit, his fantasy points were really high and he was really good. And he was a rookie last year, so I think there's potential for him in the future. And if it doesn't work out at the Giants, he's going to be fantastic somewhere else if we end up trading him and getting some picks in a rebuild. So I'm going to take Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, like I said before, I think he's a really good shout. He's a quality guy and a quality receiver. You've seen that he did well there. So I think he's a good one to have on your bench. Quite a few running backs gone. In fact, 5 in a row. Mattison, David Johnson, Mostert. Mostert's not a bad shout, I suppose, if he can keep fit. That's the problem with him, but it's not the awful one. Your bus has just gone at the turn on the 11th. Gus Edwards has gone. Mike Davis, Baker Mayfield going in the 12th round there. I don't know if he's going to get a team or not, but you never know. Cole Kmet and Evan Ingram, which leaves you back in the 12th round.
I mean, I know the computer's picking it. It's not a real human, but he's not even a starter. And Mac Jones is still on the board, and Tom Brady, Kirk Cousins, Ryan Tannehill. You know, they're still quarterbacks that are going to be around for a few more years as starters.
I suppose I do wonder if maybe the logic behind it is that he's already got Kyler Murray, Tate Baker Mayfield. He might not play this year, but then he might be around and he could become something. So that's probably the logic. But then if you've got Kyler Murray, you kind of feel like you don't really need anyone else. So.
I mean, I've got most positions filled. I've got three running backs. I've got 3 running. That's how I have to scroll up. I've got 4 running backs.
Yeah,
4 running backs. Got 4 running backs. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wide receivers. I've got a decent tight end. Would I need another tight end? Would it work out? I don't know. There's not many great names left. I mean, Tyler Higbee's a good one. Zach Ertz. There's still some good names on there. I don't think I need to risk it. And like I said, there'll be youngsters coming through. I might look at another running back. I think it's too early to look at a defense. So, yeah.
I think one thing that also a lot of people, especially people who play redraft a lot, obviously you do want to make sure that you get yourself 2 quarterbacks. So that's another one. But there's some really good guys out there who are still around. And the other thing is, if you wanted to, you could take one of the young ones. I mean, Zach Wilson and Mac Jones are still there. I mean, there's no reason why you couldn't go for that as opposed to Brady. But
yeah, I'm going to need someone in my bye week. And let's heaven forbid it doesn't happen. What if Josh Allen gets injured or misses some time, or at the back end of the season they've done that well that they choose to sit him? So yeah, you do kind of need at some point to start looking at a backup quarterback just in case. I mean, we had Russell Wilson in our dynasty, and you know he was injured. What's the backup plan? Luckily, we had Tom Brady. So that worked out well for us. But if we leave this too late, there's not going to be a starter. So I might snap up one of these guys, and I think I'm going to snap up. Kind of thinking along the lines of like, who's got good enough weapons? I mean, it'd probably be for me. I'm probably looking at Kirk Cousins or Ryan Tannehill. I think they're the type of quarterbacks that are there. I'm running out of time here. The type of quarterbacks have got good weapons, and they are quite consistent. They do put quite good stats. Mac Jones, let's run first. I'm going to go with Kirk Cousins for the fact that he fits into that system quite well. He's got some good receivers, and he'd be a good backup. He always puts up good stats. So yeah, I'm going to get myself a bit of a backup.
Well, I'm glad that you went for Cousins because I couldn't take another Minnesota player. I mean, it just would have been awful, wouldn't it? So Jamal Williams and Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard's a decent pick at 12-7, especially with McCaffrey if he gets injured. Yeah, I was looking at a quarterback as well, looking at where to go. Tannehill is kind of the one that makes the most sense to me, just purely because of his running. I think that he's always one who gets a rushing touchdown every now and then. So I think I'll go for Tannehill for that one, just to make sure that I've got another one there. A few tight ends gone off the board afterwards. Gronkowski, Smith, and Higbee have all gone. Like I say, this is kind of now we're sort of reaching just what's left for your bench. There's not really any wide receivers that I'm particularly excited about. What I might do, and this is something that I don't normally do,
Take a deep.
I might look at taking a defense now. Just trying to find one that I think will do all right. To me, they're stacked. They just keep buying everyone and bringing in more players. I'm going to go for the Rams defense. I know it's early to take a defense, but I feel like the defense is something that we all we don't really think much about. We just go, oh no, you don't need that. That's fine. And we'll do that at the end. But they, they do get you points. So I've gone for the LA Rams. It's very early, but I'll get some of them before the computer nicks them. So
yeah,
Zach Ertz and Devontae Parker went next. So what's your next move?
I might wait on the turn for a defense. I think there's enough. I mean, it's worth the risk for me on the way round. Yeah. Purely because I'm not overly happy with my situation at running back. I mean, I've got 2 flex positions in this format. So if I am looking at a bit of a week where I might need someone, I'm going to take a massive gamble. And this guy's probably still going to be on the board in maybe like 3 rounds. But you took James Conner, and that really annoyed me. I don't even know if this guy's still got it in the locker or what he's going to do. But he's 26. I rate him as an absolute fantastic running back. I wanted him at the Giants. I know my mate wanted him at the Bills. And he's recently just gone to the Houston Texans. And he's definitely going to be the starter. I know they're in a rebuild, but they've got some pieces, and this could be one of the pieces that they go to. He's been in the league; he knows what he's doing. I'm going to take the gamble.
Marlon Mack. We all thought he was really good for the Colts before he got injured. He did really well, and it's like another one who's been forgotten completely because of injuries. I suppose the problem is where he is, Houston. It's a team that hasn't really put up a lot of points over the last couple of years since Deshaun Watson's kind of disappeared from him. That's the downside. But yeah, I mean, he's a good player, and he'll probably get the opportunities. So he's definitely one to keep on side. Quite a few kickers have gone now. Robbie Gould, Buckner, Carson, and Lutz have all gone. What next? You got defense and kicker, isn't it?
We've only got 2 picks left. It's got to be defense and kicker. I'm going to go defense first, and I'm going to pick the defense that I personally like the most and think they're really exciting to watch. And I think they've built a team around being a dominant defense over the years. So I am going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers. Freddie will.
Yeah, I think Fred will be happy. Yeah, it's a good shout. They're a very good defense, and I think you'll find that they'll you got players like TJ Watt on your side. It's only going to go well for you, isn't it? So I think it's a good shout for that one. Right, I'm now on the clock, second to last round. Got to get a Green Bay guy in there just for the end of the night, really. Alan Lazard, Green Bay's number 1 receiver at the moment. Even if they bring players in, he's going to see plenty of reps, and I think he's not a bad guy to have on the bench. And then I'm going to finish it out with a kicker who's Jake Elliott's top. Here, dude. Right, there you go. And that's my kicker.
I've just scrolled down the defenses and realized, have you seen how low the Buffalo Bills defense is on this list?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still scrolling. Detroit Lions are before them. Bears. There you go. There's the Bills. Is it in alphabetical order? Is it in reverse alphabetical order?
It's in reverse alphabetical order, yeah.
Wow, what a weird way to do it. Buffalo Bills would have been a great shot. They were fantastic for me last year, but hey ho. Kickers. I need a kicker. And I am going to. Oh, hello. I'm going to take Graham Gano.
Hey.
He's a good
He had
kicker.
he had to get his own guy in there. Right, so that's it, everyone. That is the end of our Dynasty mock draft. What we'll do is we will try and get them out for you so that we can put it out. And like I say, you can tell us how bad we've done, how good we've done, which team you prefer. Obviously, mine.
Yeah, I think I prefer yours.
Yeah. So just a quick rundown. At quarterback, I've got Justin Herbert. Running back, Javonte Williams, Michael Carter, Damian Harris, James Conner, and Cordell Patterson as a bit of a, running back and wide receiver. At wide receiver, I have got Justin Jefferson, Jalen Waddle, Michael Gallup, Russell Gage, and Alan Lazard. I've also got Tannehill, of course, at quarterback. And at tight end, just the one, I've got Dallas Goedert with Jake Elliott as kicker and the LA Rams defense.
I mean, we can see my team there on the screen. It's nicely up there. Josh Allen at quarterback, Austin Eckler, AJ Dillon at the running back position, Deebo Samuel and Michael Pittman, Robert Tonyan as my tight end. In the flex there, as it put in for me, is Jerry Jeudy and Devin Singletary. Graham Gano as the kicker. Pittsburgh Steelers as the defense. And my bench consists of Hunter Renfro, Melvin Gordon, Kadarius Toney, Kirk Cousins is my backup, and Marlon Mack.
Yeah, so that's it. That's the first ever Dynasty one that we've done. Hope you liked it. We're, like I say, going to plan on doing a lot more of these over the off season. Lots of exciting things with the franchise tag, so keep on checking out all of our stuff. And we've got the show Tuesday night, haven't we? The next one. We're going to start looking at some of the draft picks and what's coming out of college for the draft. And hope you enjoyed it. Let us know what you think of the teams, and feel free to tell us that we're rubbish.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
See ya.